Though I have many regrets, one will never be my time at Western Washington University. My years at Western are filled with some of my greatest achievements and home to some of my greatest failures. 7 years is a lot to sum up, but I'll sum it up to this. First, a brief history. I've always had a hard time with school. In kindergarten, it was discovered that I had a delay in reading and writing. From kindergarten through 5th grade, I was regularly sent to the resource room for individualized and small group instruction for reading and writing. By 6th grade, I was integrated back into the gen ed setting where I struggled, but I was finally able to overcome my disabilities. With every new grade level, I had to find avenues for success. And when I got to high school, I thought that it would be just fine. I was wrong. Luckily, in high school, there are so many people watching you flounder that getting back on track is easy. But if you live life on a crutch, you never know what life is like without it. In 2009, I opened my acceptance letter. It was the big envelope, so you know it was good. I was planning on studying music education and vocal performance. I was ending my senior year on a high note with lots of friends, a girlfriend, now my wife, and a great performance legacy at my high school. Everything was going my way. Freshman year begins and I hit the ground running. I immediately take on too much. In the music department, it's really easy to get set back if you fail a class, or 2, or 3. I quickly learned that in college, your success is on you, and that no one's going to swoop in and save the day. By that time, I declared my major, and it looked like the odds of succeeding were low. One of my most beloved professors gave me some tough love. We had a meeting soon after I declared where he told me that I probably wouldn't succeed as a teacher candidate. And unless I could turn my GPA around, I was averaging about a 2.01, I would never be accepted into the College of Education. At first, I was devastated. How could I have squandered this opportunity? Then I became determined. I'll show him. With fire in my eyes, I spent the next 4 years trying to make up the difference. I began by decreasing my course load per quarter. I said no to everything that was extracurricular except for the things that were mandatory. I found a job that was more flexible with my school schedule. I became more involved at school with the student chapter of ACDA, American Choral Directors Association, and started going to educational music conferences. I learned to reassure myself with positive phrases like, you can't judge a fish on how well it climbs a tree, or everything will be all right in the end, and if it's not all right, then it's not the end. I asked for help. Golly, really, it took me 3 years of poor academic performance before I thought, gee, maybe I should ask for help. In asking for help, I gained allies that encouraged me to keep fighting. Not long after, our department hired a new coordinator of music education. She revolutionized what it was to be a music education major. She offered support, guidance, wisdom, insight, and a shoulder to cry on. She encouraged me to keep fighting and to persevere, even when there seemed to be no light at the end of the tunnel. She became my main ally. Well, with these tactics and changes made, my academic performance began to improve. By spring 2015, I applied and was accepted into the College of Education, and I was elated. Or as I like to quote from Julie and Julia, I am in utter bliss. All my hard work, all my wife and I's sacrifices, and all my support finally paid off. Thank you, Katie, my family, professors, and friends for your support through this journey. Nothing is quite like reaching the end of the tunnel. With all of this new light, my ambition to be an educator flourished into what my superiors state as focused, driven, welcoming, empathetic, and compassionate. My most cherished comment came from my tough love professor. He said, I am so proud of you as a musician, as a human being, and as a fine teacher. You have a quality as a natural teacher that can't be taught. empathy, and intuition, your students will flock to you like a magnet. When I was asked to speak at graduation, I immediately began to cry. Tears of joy, of course, but also tears of self-acceptance. I can't help but think about how I would love to tell my younger self where they would end up, explain that every struggle was worth the battle. Then I realized I can tell my younger self, or rather, a student in a similar position. Right now I have a student in one of my 5th grade classes who is a true fish out of water. At first he drove me nuts. He needs every directions clarified and he asks a lot of questions. I was like, come on kid, let me teach my lesson. But one day, about 2 weeks into my student teaching, I realized something. That student is me. I needed those clarifications. I needed every question asked. I needed every question answered, no matter how obvious. I needed someone to take the time to individualize my instruction. When I realized I could pass on my experience to students who, like me, have to fight for success, I said, let me be their champion. When I accepted the offer to speak at graduation, it wasn't for the accolades or for the praise of my accomplishments, but for the opportunity to show the world that even a poor, below average, resource room kid can defy the odds and achieve their dreams. Thank you.